Welcome to another installment of the Stoneforge Trials. It occurred to me as I was thinking about what decks I want to try running. I've been doing a lot of brewing, not exactly brewing, sort of taking decks with white in them, with planes in them, and jamming in some Stoneforge Mystic and some equipment. It occurred to me if I'm going to do some experimenting with decks that aren't used to having Stoneforge in them, or eventually I'll get around to brewing up my own decks. If I'm going to be doing this, I really should also just try out playing some of the quote-unquote actual good Stoneforge decks. So this is the one that I'm most familiar with. I think probably most people would agree is the current best known home for Stoneforge Mystics is Blue-White Sharkblade. I've seen this put up some 5-0 results. I know the SCG versus Live guys played it last week. So I'm thinking this is going to be a good deck to try out, just to partly for my own learning, just to kind of understand how Stoneforge decks play a little bit better and how they're constructed. It's kind of interesting looking at this deck. One of the things that I felt like I learned in the last week or so playing some Stoneforge decks was that it's important to have a solid amount of creatures in play, so you're always going to have something to do with your equipment. This deck, if we're looking at the creatures we have the Stoneforge Mystic, obviously. Lost my Stoneforge Mystic somehow. We've got our Stoneforge Mystics, we've got our Snapcaster Mages, and we've got Shark Typhoon, and that's pretty much it. Batterskull itself can make a creature, obviously, but as far as creatures, that's it. There's no young pyromancers making tokens. There's no cheap creatures. There's not much. So my intuition is that with this deck, it's pretty important to be making sure to navigate the game into a place that you can get a creature and play and protect it. It sounds like a kind of a tall ask, but we'll see how it goes. But I'm really curious to see how this deck plays out. Because this is not what I would have expected to be a natural home for Stoneforge Mystic. Feels like you really need the creatures to have the equipment to carry the stuff, but this deck has been doing well. So apparently I'm wrong, or apparently I'm not seeing something. So we'll have a run with it and we'll see how it goes. But this is a Blue-White Sharkblade. I'm still taking ideas or suggestions for one for decks to try adding Stoneforge to. I've got a good list of ideas that I'm trying out. One I'll be trying out a little later on this stream, but also just for other sort of Stoneforge-esque ideas, cards or perhaps strategies to try out that you think might be underexplored, especially in the realm of deck building. I don't just want this to be like a budget decks or a tier 2 deck trial type thing, but if there's a particular card that you think can go in a wide variety of decks in Modern or is underappreciated, kind of along the lines of Stoneforge Mystic, I'd be interested in hearing about it. Feel free to leave a comment or chat or something, and love to hear about it. But getting into match number 1. Opponent is CrusherBot BG. I wonder if they're running Black-Green Rock. This hand looks like it needs some help. We've got Stoneforge with an equipment, which is never exactly want to be drawing the equipments. We also have no white mana, so we're not able to cast the Stoneforge. We do have one piece of interaction with Spell Snare, but I feel like this is something. I feel like this is the sort of hand we want to mulligan. We're not even able to crack the Field of Ruin to fix our colors at all. So I think that's going to be a mulligan from me. So this is a little bit better. We can turn one opt. We have access to a bit more stuff going on in 3 mana. We'll put this Batterskull back. Opponent with a Silent Clearing into a Sigarda's Aid. Okay. So this is probably one of those Hammer Time decks. I'm going to put value on getting up to Archmage's Charm pretty quickly. That's an Inkmoth Nexus. That is a Steel Shaper's Gift. Okay, I maybe should have tried to opt for Force of Negation there. So they're still missing a way to put the equipment into play. They don't have that yet. They can... No, they cast it for 1, they equip it for 8. But when it enters the battlefield, so they just need 1 more land and they can go off. So I do very much need to find a Force of Negation here. That is not a Force of Negation. Okay. Yeah, so if I understand this deck correctly, we are dead next turn. Getting up to a Field of Ruin would be nice, but it looks like we're not going to have that luxury. Or we will, because it appears that our opponent has not found a 3rd land. So that's pretty great. We'll go ahead and play Field of Ruin. That'll protect us from the Inkmoth Nexus. And we'll also be able to fetch up another island to give us access to Archmage's Charm. Okay, our opponent's going to go with Cranial Plating. I think that's okay. They're also able to play that with Flash. I'm realizing now how this works. Memnite, okay. So we will be able to take that with Archmage's Charm if that's what we want to do. Another Steel Shaper's Gift. Okay, I think we can let that resolve. Revealing Swiftfoot Boots. Okay. You may cast spells as if they had Flash. And trigger when it enters the battlefield to equip it. But this costs 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this now, because that's a thing that we're definitely going to want to happen. They might put the hammer on in response. Okay. Get a 3rd island so we can cast our Archmage's Charm. Okay. And we can go to our turn. And I think... just having Cryptic up is kind of a good place to be. It's not entirely clear to me. Like we can let the boots. The problem is if our opponent gets a 2nd hammer in play. Even that I think is fine. So I'm happy having Archmage's Charm up or Cryptic Command up. It's not entirely clear what I'm going to do if our opponent casts the boots. I kind of wanted to counter that. Okay, I definitely F6'd a bit fast there. Okay. There's another Inkmoth Nexus. Okay, so I think what we're going to do here is we're going to gain control of this Memnite. Which will also have the benefit of it should still be equipped with a Colossus Hammer, so we can attack our opponent. So that's kind of useful. I definitely did punt by letting that Colossus Hammer resolve. Oh, well that's interesting. So our opponent's going to be able to play Sword of Fire and Ice at instant speed, equip it to the Memnite, and that then gives it protection from blue. Okay, that's pretty nasty. Our opponent's then going to be able to shock us for 2. Okay, okay. So now this Memnite has protection from blue. We can go Cryptic. We can go Cryptic, tap, draw. We go Cryptic, tap, draw into Snapcaster. Bounce Sword of Fire and Ice? No, but they can still play it. And go Cryptic, tap, draw into Snap Cryptic, tap, draw. Yeah, this sword is really annoying. Getting to Fairy down would be really nice. I really need to be able to do 2 things. I think we have to start off with Cryptic, just tap, draw, and go from there. If I could find a path, that's kind of really what we want to find. I just let my opponent attack. Wow, okay, we're really not on top of things here today. I mean, I guess we'll try to opt into a path. Wow, I'm just we're getting things we're just getting into the swing of things here. Try to be doing better than this. That is a path, so we can put that on top. We can go ahead and try to path the Memnite. See if our opponent has some sort of protection for this Memnite. Yeah. I guess we knew about that. Okay. We can go ahead and scoop it up then. Okay, so hammer time. Hammer time. I guess we want Ceremonious Rejections. I guess we want Condemn. Clique is probably fine. Supreme Verdict is maybe fine. I think we don't need to go too ham on the swords here. Spell Snare doesn't seem like it's doing too much. Cryptic feels probably a little slow. I think we can cut some Sharks. Teferi stops our opponent from flashing the equipment. I can just cut a Stoneforge. Disdainful Stroke, Purge, Read Timely. Okay, sure. Alright, so I definitely feel like I punted that game away. Just playing too quickly, passing priority too quickly. We'll tighten up for the next game here. This is... We're going to get a lot of ops here, and we've got forces for various things. I'm actually thinking about keeping this. We get a lot of looks at our next lands, and just a lot of interaction with the forces. I'm gonna try this. This looks like a very unusual keep, but I think I think we can make this work out. Bubble, sure. Looking at their own deck. Ornithopter, fine. Relic, sure. That's also fine. Okay. Well, let us opt. That is not a land. It's also not a land, but we're totally fine with that. This may honestly be a game where we just get beaten down by like a 1/1 Mem Knight for a little while. It would be kind of silly. Or a 1/1 Inkmoth Nexus, as the case may be. Cranial Plating. Okay, I think this we force pitching opt, maybe? Because that's going to start hitting pretty hard. Could also be force pitching force, but I think we want to make sure we hang on to our blue cards. Or hang on to our forces, rather. And like, we're not doing too much here, but our opponent is also really not doing too much here. I think I'll leave open the Ceremonious Rejection, actually. I can opt on our opponent's turn. Like, it looks kind of bad that we're missing a land drop here, but like, unless we hit a land drop the turn after that, it kind of doesn't matter. We can just let that resolve and counter the equipment that they get. That is a-okay. Again, Cranial Plating. We'll Ceremonious Rejection that one. And this is just sort of like you kind of see the weakness of these decks. Like if they don't have, it's just generally a weakness of A+B combo decks. Like if they don't have half of what they're trying to do, they just don't really do anything. This Teferi at least gets pitched to the force pretty easily. Given that I have this force, I think I'll go ahead and opt. Try to hit a land. We'll now have Mana Leak up. We do actually need to get to a point where we're doing things. Pithing Needle. Okay. Probably naming Teferi. They could name Field of Ruin. Since we do like have a Field of Ruin. Yep, that's the name. We can still tap it for mana. So that's fine. Opponent got our graveyard pretty well under control. We can take one Infect. That's fine. We're just more or less stopping our opponent from doing much of anything for a little while here. We will only start doing things eventually, but we've got some time. Sure, we can go ahead and cast a sword. Our opponent, I think, is out of action in terms of equipment. Even if they do have something, we'll have Force Mana Leak. It'd be nice to be able to Mana Leak it, but I'll just get this sword out there in case we draw planes for our Stoneforge Mystic. We'll easily have something to equip it to. Opponent with 2 Inkmoth Nexuses. That's actually a little irritating. That'll that can cause us some consternation. I mean, they have their clock effectively. Scarlet's Aid kind of annoying, but it's fine. They're still gonna have to actually resolve the equipment to do anything. Cryptic Command, kind of not where we want to be at. Spithing Needle actually being really annoying because we could be fixing our mana. We could be getting our white mana with these Field of Ruins if these if this wasn't shut off, and then we'd be able to cast Teferi. As it is, we're kind of getting beat down pretty fast here. Don't really have a good answer to these Inkmoth Nexuses. Even if we get white mana, we still won't be able to path it, so a little bit of awkwardness there. This is actually kind of nice. It would be, ooh, it would be really nice if we could wait an extra turn. If we could wait for one more mana, so that we can cycle it for 2, and that would be able to deal with both of the Shark Typhoons. Oh, that's a really interesting question. Yeah, that's fine. I think this is gonna have to be Force Pitch Mana Leak, probably. I could also Mana Leak and then, because presumably they're gonna pay a mana to activate the Inkmoth. If this is Hammer, yeah. So they're gonna pay a mana to activate the Inkmoth Nexus. Then they're gonna pay a mana. Right, because they can do this at instant speed. Right. That's why the Cigar Disease is annoying. Okay. Yeah, they're just going to go to combat and attack. And then when they cast the hammer, I guess when they cast the hammer, I just need to have Mana Leak up. Because they're going to cast it on my turn, so I'm not going to be able to force it. And so that being the case, I think I have to Shark Typhoon now. I think I was probably going to Shark Typhoon now anyway. But I think this kind of just shields the deal. This is going to give me still 4 more turns to find something, whereas if I go to 6, it's just going to be a lot more difficult. We'll go ahead and trade off with 1 Inkmoth Nexus. Well, that's not how you wanted to do that. We will exile... We are a long ways off casting a Cryptic Command or an Archmage's Charm. Okay, so that worked out about as well as I could have hoped. Got 5 more turns before we're dead. Finally found Plains. I think now we cast Stoneforge, so we can just start putting equipments on things. We'll have a Mana Leak up. I guess this Mana Leak is not a ton of protection. There's only 1 equipment left for us to find. That is fine. If our opponent finds a hammer, we're kind of in trouble. Okay. So how do we want to play this? We're never going to be able to hit the Nexus with this sort of Fire and Ice. We would like to be able to have up Counter Magic in case our opponent draws an equipment, but that's not really reasonable to do right now. I think we kind of just have to put this Batter Skull into play. Could also cast a Teferi, bounce... Could actually cast a Teferi, bounce Pithing Needle? If I got some more mana, that might be a line I could take. I could also just cast Teferi, bounce, like, nothing. To draw a card? Mana really hurting me this game. I think we kind of just have to pass and start getting in with this Batter Skull. And hold up Mana Leak. Don't see a really good option for us here. We really need to find a path. Pure Steel Paladin. Okay. I think we're basically in a mode of trying to draw as many cards as we can to find a path. Or a Shark Typhoon. Lands are good, but we need triple blue before these Archmage Charms do anything. Also, we can't gain control of an Inkmoth Nexus with an Archmage Charm. Okay. Go ahead and put our Batter Skull into play. That represents a second blue. Do I want it to fairy bounce something? You can also equip Sword of Fire and Ice and just start getting in. The life isn't really doing anything. Protection's not doing anything. It does just incentivize our opponent to chump block. Which is... doesn't matter. I guess I could put the sword on the Stoneforge Mystic. It's actually probably better. So I can get him with 2 creatures. Opponent doesn't have enough power to actually kill anything, so this is fine. I'm holding open Mana Leak. Maybe I should have cast it to Fairy. It may have been better. I don't think Mana Leak's going to actually nab anything. Okay, we're going to 8 poison. Just need to be getting blue mana here. There's a Supreme Verdict that helps us because of Teferi, sort of. Does mean we will be able to play that Supreme Verdict at instant speed, hilariously. Okay. Things are happening here. So we actually want to... plus this. So, because if we minus it... Actually, do I want to... so this I want a Mana Leak, right? Because this is going to go on to something. Do I Mana Leak this? I have to, right? I also just don't want my opponent to be able to give stuff. Yeah. We got shields down for a turn. I think I just go ahead and bounce that. There is our third blue. Okay. So unless our opponent swings Inkmoth at Teferi, we'll be able to Supreme Verdict the Inkmoth the turn after. I don't expect our opponent to do that because we're at 8 poison, but I did leave them that option. The Batterskull has the Pure Steel Paladin covered. And we'll see what they want to do with this Inkmoth. I assume they're going at our face. Yeah. Which makes sense. Okay. Plus Teferi. Text everybody. And we are going to be losing our Batterskull token, but we can just pick the Batterskull up, play it again, and put a sword on it. So I think we should be okay. They are going at us. Makes sense. Okay, we will cast Supreme Verdict at instant speed, thanks to Teferi's +1. They have another Inkmoth Nexus, okay. Okay. Need to do something about that. Let's pick this up. Okay. Let's draw 2 cards. Okay, found a path. Maybe that was bad, because I could have fetched to put Supreme Verdict on top. Yeah, I could have done better than that, I think. Yeah, okay. This is fine. I can path the Inkmoth Nexus. I'd really like to bounce this to bounce this Pithing Needle. I am gonna need to win another game after this, so. Ugh, okay. Okay. Yep, you got it. Let's do that now. I do also have a graveyard again now, so if I can find a Snapcaster. Actually probably want to get this path back. That's gonna hit the Teferi, which makes sense. We're gonna go ahead and rebuy this path now. Pretty sure that's something we're gonna want to do. And we are going to be able to put this Batterskull down this turn, which we weren't able to do last turn. I think, right? Yeah. We have Path and Archmage's Charm up. We will not equip the sword yet. I think we finally got this game locked down. It was sketchy there, but I think we got it. And our opponent finally scooping it up. Okay, I think, I bring this Detention Sphere in, but I think we probably want this. I think it's probably better than Teferi. Don't know why I didn't bring that in. Chuck Typhoons, also, like, I'm seeing the value in having those to block. So maybe those are better than Cryptic. Cryptic pretty slow. Like, just having a cheap blocker seems good. Sword actually, like, really not doing too much for us. I could honestly see just, like, taking out the whole Stoneforge thing altogether. Although, I guess, how am I winning the game if I do that? It's probably okay. Anyway, put on a fun, cute combo deck. It was good to see those around. I think our opponent saw a lot more of our deck. I was kind of surprised to see the relics in there. We're not really doing that much with our graveyard. We're like snapping things back. We have Mystic Sanctuaries. don't know if it's worth it for our opponent to have cards in to do that. Depends what they're taking out. It's kind of a... It's an interesting question. I really don't know the answer. I don't know our opponent's deck well enough. This looks fine. We got a Ceremous Rejection, a Path, Force. Yeah, this is solid. This is very, very solid. Ornithopter, fine. Ornithopter, fine. Okay. I think I play this untapped. Plays up Ceremous Ejection. I don't think I'm too concerned about my life total in this matchup, although it can definitely come up if they like get a Cranial Plating down. Pure Steel Paladin. So that's pretty much just a 2/2. Don't think I care about that. I think I just care about the equipment. Go ahead and opt here. I think we want lands pretty much. Plane's awkward because it doesn't cast the Archmage's Charm, but I think it's still fine. Being able to cycle a larger Shark Typhoon is good, so we can put that on top. I'm still going to play the Misty, though. In case we draw another island, then we'll have Archmage's Charm up. But for now, we've just got plenty of permission in our hand. We can sit back and play the longer game. Stoneforge Mystic. That is awkward because it's gonna let them just put the equipment into play instead of having to cast it, and then we're not really gonna be able to counter it. We might have to path this Stoneforge, which is not ideal. Sword of Sinew and Steel. Strike one target planeswalker and one target artifact. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so are we going to path the Stoneforge? Like, the fact that our opponent is getting Sword instead of, like, a Colossus Hammer is indicative to me that they're really not trying to play for the combo, they're trying to play a value game. I mean, we're going to let this hit us. I don't think our opponent is doing anything else on their turn. Yeah, I think I should path the Stoneforge. Just having all their equipment be uncounterable is just not ideal. Condemn is a cute pickup. Black and red protection, not super relevant here. Completely irrelevant, rather. Wonder if I want a Shark Typhoon for 1 here. Probably not. Crypt creature has hexproof and haste. Yeah, we probably have to counter that. If I was in a position to be having Archmage's Charm up, I would probably be a bit more comfortable letting that go. Okay, so now you're going to get a hammer, and you're going to cast the hammer, and I'm going to be able to force the hammer. So this is fine. I think I exile the Archmage's Charm. Force a card I have not played much with, and it's impressive. It does things. I'm leaving this Misty uncracked because I want to draw lands and for the possibility of getting a what's the thing called? The Sanctuary. But our opponent did not attack us with Pure Steel Paladin. It's kind of interesting. At this point, I'm probably just going to crack these for islands and Archmage's Charm ourselves to draw 2, although that is going to leave us with no counter magic. which is a little scary. I think I'm okay with you playing a sword here. We're gonna be able to make a bigger shark. We don't have any equipment. We're not worried about that. Yeah, I think we can let this resolve. We'll leave the charm up for something we like really care about. Paradise Mantle. Okay. So I'm gonna be able to draw some cards. Stoneforge. Okay, this one I think I counter. Counter target spell. So our opponent is going to be able to hit us with a sword. We will be able to condemn it. Okay, you want it there? Sure, fine. It's probably better. I think we're going to condemn the Pure Steel Paladin just because it has the, Actually, maybe I don't want to do this. It's 2 power on the clock. No, I think this is fine. It's kind of tempting to want to save it for like a like an Ink Moth next or something we might have a bit of a harder time dealing with. But we're going to be able to make a 3/3 shark soon, and that'll block anything we care about. At least as it currently stands. Mana leak, I don't think going to be relevant. I do really want to get this shark up to making a 3/3 shark. This 2/2 is not going to block this. Okay, Mana leak is going to attack something apparently. It's pretty good, it's pretty good. Cheap Memnite. So this can actually be a 3/3 with the sword. So that's actually kind of irritating. It makes me want to get up to a 4/4 shark. Yeah. Sword is a little bit annoying because it's like finding a Stoneforge is not really going to be that good. We need action here. Path is good. I like Path. I'd really love like a Snapcaster. Be able to cast a Path from the graveyard and have a body in play or something. There's a lot of good top decks we have. Even lands are fine here. I think I have to path this now. Means our opponent's just going to put the sword on the Memnite, but that's fine. Pure Steel Paladin, okay. Assuming I'm going to put the sword there, yep. So if I get a land, then I can make a shark and eat the Pure Steel Paladin. Should be really nice. Land. To fairy. Sure. I guess we'll draw a card. Stoneforge's not doing too much here. Although we have... I guess our opponent does still have the Ornithopter. Yeah. Ooh, cranial plating is not good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and Ink Moth Nexus. Are we just dead? We might just be dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this Midnight is just lethal now. Well, that's unfortunate. This was a very grindy game. Our opponent actually drew 5 more cards this game than we did. It's, Cheerios, I guess. Okay, well. That was a match. Definitely punted in game 1, just passing priority when we shouldn't have. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm seeing that it's hard to evaluate this deck as a Stoneforge deck, at least in the way that I've been thinking about Stoneforge decks in the past few leagues. Here, Stoneforge Mystic is... It feels like just what we're doing after we have the game under control. Like we are a control deck. We really don't feel like a Stoneforge deck. Field of Ruin and Cryptic Command. I mean, I guess we will be able to field to get our islands. This looks fine. Got some early interaction. A bit heavier on the late interaction than I would like, but I think this is still okay. This looks like, is it Blitz, perhaps? Although, is it Blitz with no 1-drop is pretty welcome for us. It could be Storm? This looks like Storm. It looks like Storm with a non-functional hand. Don't know what's going on here. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Could be some sort of bizarre control list. I think I'm fine trying to resolve it to Fairy here. I don't think Storm kills us from nothing. I mean, it's certainly possible. They could play, like, Electromancer into Ritual, something. But I'm happy to just try to resolve this. Looks like they have some sort of counter magic for it. That's fine. Sure. Our opponent also, in theory, has to respect Force, which we don't have, but I think a good opponent will respect it. They might still jam anyway, but they'll at least be aware of the possibility. Is this like Blue Moon? Alright, I think we'll sit back now. Actually, we can cast Stoneforge with Mana Leak up. We still have lands to be making land drops. I'm okay with this. Is Storm. So we are shields down now. Our opponent doesn't know that. Sure. Fortunately, we're not going to be able to have Cryptic up. Unless we draw that. That's good. I'd really like to get these fields cracked. I'd just really like to have some more islands in play. Baral. So if I Cryptic this, our opponent could still go like Baral, like cast another Baral and then go off. But if I let this Baral resolve, our opponent might still be able to go off through Cryptic. If we Cryptic, what does our opponent need to go off? Need to do to go off? Really just like Ritual. Ritual is 5 minutes. Like, They have to have the Electromancer, and they have to have Ritual to get up to 5. And then what? Like... Past in Flames, Ritual, Manamorphose. That's giving them credit for a lot. Like, they haven't been playing a lot of cantrips or anything. Like, I think we just cryptic this. I think we can get a Hollowed Fountain here. I don't think our life total matters that much. The other hand, maybe I don't do that. Counter target spell, draw a card. Okay. Opponent's still on nothing. This theoretically represents Snap Cryptic. Might go for a Shark Typhoon here just to apply pressure. Yeah, so we're gonna get a Sanctuary, get this Cryptic back. Target Cryptic command. Yes. And then we're just going to go ahead and cycle this for a 4/4. And our opponent might be able to resolve like a Gifts and Given here or something. Nope. Now we have a clock. Got Cryptic up. We obviously can't go like Cryptic, Snap Cryptic. That'd be kind of insane. Okay, let's finally start cracking these. Let's also like opt. Just want any sort of permission here. Another Shark would even be fine. If we do Shark Typhoon here, we could make another Shark and kind of turn off our clock. Don't need that. Path is fine, I guess. That's a good draw. Do I want to try to resolve it to Fairy? Fairy is not like particularly important to anything, honestly. Yeah, I think I'm happy just sitting with my counter magic. Sleight of hand, sure. Serum Vision, sure. Opponent sculpting their hand. See if they can put something together. If our opponent tries to play a Baral or an Electromancer, okay, we're just going manual mode here. Sure. Gifts ungiven. Okay, I think we can probably just Cryptic this. Or Force. I don't really want to spend Force on this. I think Cryptic's fine. Actually, maybe I should have countered Bounce Mystic Sanctuary. That might have been better. Group shot for 6. We're killing the Shark? Okay, that's fine. Like, our opponent has, like, no resources now. Now I think we just play Stoneforge, get a Batter Skull. Go ahead and do this. I don't think there's any reason not to do this. Thin our deck. Opponent gonna float mana, that's fine. Like, they're not actually doing anything with this, are they? Didn't think so. Do another Cryptic, that's pretty awesome. Play this out. Get a Batter Skull. Go ahead. So we have like Snap Cryptic with Force backup and another Cryptic in hand. I think we're doing okay here. Opponent working on very low resources here. Pyretic Ritual, sure. Like, they do have a lot of mana, so even if they go, like, past In Flames, like... Yeah, so even if they go past In Flames, like... Actually, I think I would just rather... exile this. Because that's how that spell works. Don't want them to get it back. Even though, like, if they cast it, they have no mana, but it's still in their graveyard. So, whatever. Go ahead. Yeah, and our opponent just should not have enough. I mean, Storm doesn't go off with 2 cards. Attack. We're just finishing the job here. Plays to Fairy that's been remanded since, like, forever. Sleight of hand, sure. Sure. Going with the classic Island, Snow-Covered Island. There's actually a reason for it. It's because you can get 2 islands with gifts ungiven in case it's ever a thing you want to do. No idea how often that comes up. I have to feel like not very often, but it's a thing. Sure. Like, I could Spell Snare that, but I feel like there's no reason to. Okay. Is anything here actually good? Doesn't actually seem like very many things in our deck do very much. We might want a Detention Sphere for Empty the Warrens. Feels like a thing our opponent might do. We might want a Supreme Verdict for Empty the Warrens. Supreme Verdict can also, like, these cards can also just get their 2-mana creatures. If you're casting a Past in Flames doesn't seem like where we want to be at. Disdainful Stroke doesn't really seem... I mean, Disdainful Stroke hits, whatchamacallit? Might be worth bringing in. Like, I don't... Teferi seems not great. Sort of... Feast and Famine seems like kind of okay. Like, making Storm discard their cards. Kind of nice. Fire Knight's okay. Batter Skull's fine. I can maybe just take out... Like, Spellsnare hits their creatures. Maybe I take out, like, an Archmage's Charm. It's kind of slow. Cryptic, kind of slow. Snapcaster, kind of value. Doesn't exactly seem like where we want to be at. Could take out a Path. Like, you still definitely need some paths, but we are bringing in extra answers for them. Doesn't seem like we have a whole lot for this matchup, but Permission against the Storm style deck does seem pretty good anyway, so I can't complain too much. about not having a good sideboard plan. Or having a somewhat suboptimal sideboard plan. Storm's a fun deck. I'm always a fan of degenerate combo decks. I played Storm for a little while online. Still have the deck, I think. Probably an old version of it. I don't even know if I have the Gifts and Givens in that deck list. I don't know. It must have, because I think when Baral came out was when they started running Gifts and Given. I know I have Barals in the deck. This is obviously not a keepable hand. Can't cast any spells. So we'll throw that back. Our opponent is on 6. This hand is pretty bad. It doesn't actually do anything. This hand just does like absolutely nothing. Batterskull is basically a mulligan. Snapcaster is nothing in flashback. Shark Typhoon, not doing anything here. I think we have to mulligan this too. Our opponent's having a good long think. Opponent's on 6. I think we need to go to 5. This is better. Definitely put an extra land back. We might put another land back. I think we'll put Snapcaster Mage back. It's between Snapcaster or land, but given that we're keeping a Cryptic, I think we like having lands to try to get up to 3. Do I represent Path with Hallowed Fountain by playing it untapped? I mean, I think there's a world where like our opponent actually gets close to not quite being able to storm us out, so I think we actually just play this tapped. And just tell them if you're going to go off turn 2, you got us. I don't think they can go off. I don't think Storm can ever go off turn 2. Okay, no mana creature is good. Just play Misty. Actually, I think I should have played Island, because I may want to save Misty to fetch a Mystic Sanctuary. And now if I have to mana leak, I have to waste the fetch. So that was definitely a mistake. I should have played Island. Yeah, we're going to mana leak this, which means I do have to do this where I sack this. It's unfortunate. Now I'm going to have... shields down for a turn. I guess I have Disdainful Stroke, so I can, like, try to hit a Gifts Ungiven, but... Pieces of the puzzle. Okay. Reveal top 5, put 2. Okay. Puts Remand and Grape Shot. Grape Shot. It's an interesting choice. Okay. We have a little bit of permission in our hand, but not too much. Our opponent is doing a lot of smoothing. So I think they've probably got a pretty good 7 cards. We might be able to fight through it. Okay, so I could Cryptic here, and that would just shut our opponent off this turn. They haven't invested very much in this. I think I let this resolve. If anything, I can counter the next one because they don't have a creature in play. Aria of Flame. Okay. Well, this I think I need to Cryptic. Counter target spell, draw a card. Okay, we can get back a, we can get Cryptic back with this. Hopefully our opponent is going to try to, like, ritual into Gifts and Given or something, and we can nab it with Disdainful Stroke. But we are shields down right now. Electromancer. Okay, so that we can Path. Should hopefully slow our opponent down. Okay. And then we're gonna rebuy Cryptic. Mystic Sanctuary is quite the card. Problem is we do need to be getting ahead here somewhere. I would really like to draw a Shark Typhoon. Just like last game, start putting a clock on our opponent. Here we're just giving them all the time in the world to do whatever they want to, really. We're on 6 cards, so I don't think they really need to act yet. It's kind of smart of them to not pull the trigger. Okay, this is good, this is good. This lets us start putting a clock on. Casting this here does mean that we're not going to have Cryptic and Stroke up, but I think the chances that we hit something with Cryptic and Stroke are pretty small anyway. Maybe we should have gotten sort of Feast and Famine there, actually. It's going to hit almost as hard. And it can strip our opponent's resources. I mean, sort of Feast and Famine would have actually been better. Repeal. Okay. That's fine. Actually kind of lets me correct my mistake and get the sort of Feast and Famine anyway. Sword. Go. I'm definitely scared that my opponent's just going to be able to try to go off and fight through everything that we have, which is, as of right now, just Cryptic. I guess I can try to opt into a Force. And I'm definitely going to cast the Opt end step. We haven't cast it yet, but I would really be more comfortable if we had another several things going on here. Alright, we're trying again. It really is an interesting question playing against a control deck like this, of when you try to go for something like this. Okay, I mean, we're going to let you start. Countering that does nothing. And, I mean, if you're going off in manual mode, that's something. It's something. So all these rituals are only adding 1 mana. Okay, we're just casting Grape Shot. Just a mini Grape Shot. That's fine. Okay, our opponent's going to remand the Grape Shot. This is targeting us. Do I want to fight over the remand? Because it's only going to do 4 to us. If our opponent does, like, 6 and then 7? Like, if they have another Grape Shot in hand. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. Like, if we get into a fight over this, and then Like, what happens if I Cryptic this remand? They've got 2 cards in hand and 5 mana. So even if they have Past in Flame, which is not in their graveyard, they can cast the Past in Flame with 1 mana left, and then opt. If I Cryptic and they remand, which I know they have remand. Well, no, they're casting the remand now. I know nothing about their hand. If I Cryptic and they have another remand for my Cryptic, then they still can't go Grape Shot, remand Grape Shot. I think I want to do this. Dispute. Let's see if I can opt into Force. That's not Force. That's not Force. Okay. I got nothing. So I'm taking 4 to 14, and I can take 10 to 4. Plus maybe some more if our opponent has more spells to storm off with. Our opponent's killing the Stoneforge, which is fine. Yeah, there's the other Grape Shot. So we're going to 6. 6 is not dead. So at this point, do I just cast the Batterskull? Like, hard cast the Batterskull? Okay. I think I just hard cast the Batterskull. We've got Stroke Up, which is all the interaction in our hand. Next turn we can play Sword, Equip Sword. Like, cause like what is our opponent even gonna do from here? I guess they could have Past in Flame, which we can stroke. They'll be able to flash it back next turn, but we'll just have to cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, we're gonna stroke that. Okay. Sure. It's always scary playing against Storm. I think our matchup is good against it, but it's still always scary. I wonder if we really did anything that gave away very much of how weak our hand was. I feel like our opponent probably could have... Like, if our opponent had perfect information, I feel like they could have played a lot better. Obviously, they don't know how good our hand was, but... how good or bad our hand was. Stoneforge there in that match, not doing too much. Honestly, I think like the MVP was Shark Typhoon in game 1. Just being able to put pressure on our opponent. I guess the Batterskull is what got there in the end, but... yeah. This hand seems fine. Got a path into Stoneforge. Cryptic for an action later, but we've got, you know... early interaction and path. I've got a later game in Cryptic and Shark Typhoon. Basic Swamp. Basic Swamp Thoughtseize. Probably the most likely deck is something like Death Shadow. I mean, they are going to run a Basic Swamp. Probabilistically, the fact that they're actually leaning on Basic Swamp makes me think it might be more like 8-rack or something. We'll see. If they play second Swamp, I'll definitely be more inclined to think it's like 8-rack. Because Death Shadow is not going to run 2 Basic Swamps. This makes me think it's like Jund. Jund or Rock. Sure. Do I path this? Probably. Do I get... I think I get a Hallowed Fountain untapped. So I have extra blue mana for Cryptic, extra island for Mystic Sanctuary. Pathing now is not really what we want to be doing, but I think it's better than taking hits from that. Like as long as we're going to be taking, as long as we're going to be letting it through for a turn or two, which is what we would be doing, I think you kind of just want to let it go. Lily? Okay. Yes, this is the sort of game we're going to be playing. We can discard a Batterskull. Probably not getting that much done here. Go ahead and put that in tapped. Pass turn. Might run out of Snapcaster in Ambush Viper mode. Not too sure. Actually, we'll probably discard the Cryptic because it's just not castable right now. Shock Typhoon can pressure the Liliana and can like kind of surprise pressure the Liliana, so that's attractive. Snapcasters give us access to Snap Path, which is valuable. Red and 6, it's pretty good. You get a creature down to be able to pressure these planeswalkers somehow. And we'll discard this Cryptic. Opponent empty-handed. Pretty good place for them to be. Could really use a Detention Sphere, but that's in our sideboard. Okay. Getting manhandled here a bit by Jund. Stoneforge Mystic will probably just get discarded. Snapcaster Mage, unfortunately, probably just worth a downtick on Ren and 6, but we'll be able to deal with the Tarmogoyf at least. Yeah, we're not in a very good place here. Although our opponent did activate Ren and 6 now and not later. So I guess we do have that going for us. Should be getting a hit in with Snapcaster Mage. Not sure which one of these we want to be hitting. Lily's a 6, probably Lily. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's also very good. Alright, I think we can scoop this one up. Game's just going nowhere. These seem pretty decent. These seem pretty solid. Cleek. What about Cleek? Stroke. Probably not hitting too much either. Spell Snare. Spell Snare has some applications. Spell Snare's probably fine. I think Force is not where we want to be at. It can hit a Planeswalker, but I think card disadvantage is not where you want to be at against a fair deck like Jund. Feast and Famine is going to give us protection from most of our opponent's deck. Fire and Ice might chalk a couple things down, but it's not doing too much. But I do think we want to. I do think we want to cut a sword here. I think we can cut. We can cut Feast and Famine. Drawing a card when you hit is just so valuable, and pinging can help it down the Planeswalkers. So I think this is fine. It's possible I just really don't appreciate sort of Feast and Famine. It's definitely possible. This hand seems okay. Doesn't pressure planeswalkers very well. But it seems like it should be like decently okay in a sort of mid-range fight. Really don't know too well how to evaluate hands with this deck. I just don't know how this matchup is supposed to play out or how it's going to play out. Makes it a little tough for me. Okay, no turn one discard from our opponent. Always kind of a welcome sight. Third Stoneforge Mystic. Well, that might be a bit more than we were hoping for. Go ahead and grab a Batterskull. I feel like it doesn't matter too much which one we get, because I'm expecting the Stoneforge Mystic to die before we untap. You know, if we get to just put a Batterskull into play, it's pretty good. Opponent could definitely have answers to the Batterskull, but as long as we get to just put things into play, I'll take it. Okay. Sure. Shark Typhoons are always welcome. Sharkblade to make some flying creatures on end step. Be able to try to get into these planeswalkers. What is our opponent going to have on 3? I would be pretty happy with them playing Liliana, to be honest. So we should be able to put Batterskull into play, kill the Liliana. Unless I'm missing something. So Red and 6 is pretty annoying. Our opponent's just getting a ton of value off that. Choke. Well, that's a card. Okay, that's a card. I had this flooded strand in play, I get a planes and... oh, gosh. Okay, well, that's a thing. Not sure what we're going to do about that exactly. I think I want Stoneforge Mystic to go and get the other sword. Maybe we can just get a ton of value off of that. Yes. Get sword. And then let's kill the Ren and 6, because that's getting way too much value. Choke. That there choke. If we can get this sort of Fire and Ice on our Batterskull, that's like definitely something. It's not how I expect games with this deck to go. Huge aggro beatdown. But sort of the hand we got dealt. This hand we chose not to mulligan. And this is where we're at. Ashiok Dream Render. Again, kind of okay with this. I might crack this Misty now. But otherwise, I think this is fine-ish. The real question is, do I care about this Ashiok? Well, that's not getting cast anytime soon. So I can hit for 5. The next turn I can hit for 9. Okay. I think I just put the sword in play, and the next turn equip the sword. We're just the beatdown plan here. I wonder what's in our opponent's hand. I guess a lot of lands that they got back with Ren and 6, but like, if their play is Ashiok, I don't know, man. I don't know. The sword on a Stoneforge Mystic is going to get hit for 5, so even if, yeah, so our opponent has an answer for this germ. Which is not unexpected. I think it's worth spell snaring that. That's our last blue mana for a little while though, so let's put the sword into play and hope it's good enough. Go attacking. Seems good, seems good. Let's hit you. Let's draw a card. Opponent at 1. So they're not going to die to either of these Stoneforge Mystics. Really curious what's in our opponent's hand. Shark Typhoon for 1 is now pretty solid. But our opponent just had nothing. Absolute nothing. Pretty surprising, honestly. I think I kind of like having a clique to pressure Planeswalkers. Seems strong to me. Maybe Shark Typhoon is a little too slow. No, Shark Typhoon is good in a mid-range fight. Go to Teferi. Go to Stoneforge Mystic. Cutting Stoneforge is probably fine in fights where I'm expecting my opponent to be killing lots of my creatures. This is fine. Awkwardly, I think I'm leading on this Misty Rainforest to be able to have Spell Snare up, which I would really like to be playing the Celestial Colonnade, but we'll play the proper land. Celestial Colonnade convenient because it won't get locked down by choke. So I will at least have some repeatable source of blue mana. Unless our opponent is running like Field of Ruin or something, which they may very well be. Looks like we might be nabbing something with Spell Snare here. That's all. That's good. That's good. I think I'm getting Basic Island here. Dark Confidant. Yep, that's getting Spell Snared. I think I'm going to need to play Field of Ruin now to leave up Mana Leak. Knowing that, maybe I should have played Hallowed Fountain to have a Path this turn also, but Tarmogoyf. Might actually be able to deal with Tarmogoyf. Yeah, I can just Path the Tarmogoyf. That's fine. Opponent only on 2 lands. Yeah, I want to save up... I want to leave the Mana Leak up for like a Red and 6 or I don't know, something more impactful than just a 3/4. Liliana, maybe. Another Tarmogoyf. Okay, this one I might Mana Leak. Yeah, I think I'll Mana Leak this one. Like, I could also just top deck an island and be able to have Archmage's Charm up for next turn anyway. And I feel like I'm going to be busy with my mana on coming turns, so I don't think I want to leave Mana Leak tied up thereafter. I might try Clique on my opponent's draw step. It's an interesting line. Nope, we drew a land. So we can now have Archmage's Charm up. So that is excellent. And we'll just pass here. An unfriendly thing our opponent could do would be Bloodbraid Elf. We would have to choose what to let them have. If our opponent does nothing here, it's pretty okay. We could Clique them. Inquisition. I think in that case I respond by pathing the Tarmogoyf, because that has to go at some point. And then I think I let the Inquisition go. I don't think I want to Clique now, because that's just sort of unlocking removal that might be in our opponent's hand. I assume my opponent will take an charm here? Yeah. I definitely should have like done stuff on my opponent's end step, but that's what happened. So need to get better, not just like passing on my opponent's end step. I needed to crack the Flooded Strand. I wanted to get a Hallowed Fountain. I also need to crack the Field of Ruin, so I'm having more colored sources. Joke. Yeah, I'm kind of obligated to charm this, right? That is not what I meant. What even? Oh my gosh. That is not at all what I meant to click on. Oh my goodness. Okay. Fine, you have... Oh my gosh. What's our opponent's source of red? Wow. I don't even know what to say. It's just not... I'm just not doing well today. Oh, good grief. I also don't, like, I don't have the Stoneforges I had last game to be able to putting a clock on my opponent. So this is really not going great. This Archmage's Charm needs triple blue. This is just never getting cast at this point. Oh gosh. Sure. Sure. I assume this is getting back at Tarmogoyf. I probably have to play this Vendilion Clique, and that's how I go aggro, I guess. Return target creature, target player discards a card. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Discard this charm because I'm never casting it. Like, with Celestial Colonnade, I mean, I really only get to hit with it once, but it's kind of a thing. We're going to hit this so you can't draw. I was supposed to cast a Vendilion Clique. Think I get a path back. That's how I could win the race in theory. I think I can might click now, honestly. Because if you only have one removal spell in your hand, not that I think it's likely that you only have one removal spell, but I mean, I'm just playing in my outs here. Yeah, bolt, boil. Jeez. Yeah, no, I'm very dead. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that's this league is kind of just an exercise in I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm definitely not playing this deck to its fullest potential, anyways. But yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, I could have countered the choke. Like, our opponent had a solid hand anyway. I guess a lot of our opponent's hand was just removal that we were blanking. So we were actually in a pretty good spot anyway. If we had countered the choke. If we countered the choke, we'd have had two Archmage's Charms, or one Archmage's Charm, because our opponent had us discard one, but we would have had an Archmage's Charm in draw mode, maybe. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to try not to tilt off. This hand is fine. Some trouble casting Archmage's Charm, maybe, but we'll deal. Opponent on. Last time we saw this, it was the equipment deck. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we're probably not going to be playing against the equipment deck twice in a row, or twice in a league, but stranger things have happened. I played a Kiki Cord mirror match at 5-0 at a Grand Prix once. That was something. I guess we're going to play a Teferi. Don't really know what our opponent's doing, so just going to tick up for now. Is this, like, there's like a mono white tokens deck running around, but I'm pretty sure that deck plays things on turns 1 and 2. Lily. Okay. Sure. Let's discard a Field of Ruin. I think Spell Snare is probably next to go. No, Spell Snare is definitely next to go. Let's draw a card here. Path is fine. Might just cycle Shark Typhoon for 1 here. Depends where our opponent's planning to play something we can Spell Snare. If our opponent pluses first and we discard a Spell Snare, we might be able to get our opponent with the second one. That'd be interesting. Cling to Dust. Sure. Don't really care about that. What if our opponent is missing a color? Seems unlikely. Tide Hollow Sculler. Yeah, that seems Spell Snareable. We'll discard our other Spell Snare. Would like to correct the Field of Ruin here, but try to get closer to casting an Archmage's Charm, but oh well. +1. And what's that, I think? Cannot Snapcaster Spell Snare here, which is unfortunate. Each player discards. Sure. Do I want this sword? I feel like I might need it. I think I'll discard this Path because I could snap Path on this turn still. But I think this turn I need to Snapcaster and try to start hitting Lily a bit. Could play Snap, hit Lily, and then like pick it back up with Teferi. I guess I'm sort of counting on a situation where my opponent, oh, what are we doing here? Something I can Path, hopefully. Sure. Okay, Ambush Viper. Target a Spell Snare. Attack Lily. +1, and I guess this Shark Typhoon for 2 is how I can finish off the Lily. Assuming we get a an Edict here. Thoughtseize. In that case, I think we Shark Typhoon in response. Actually, that might not be right, because it seems likely to me that our opponent has like pushes in hand and stuff that have been dead so far. So if I make that play, we probably just lose everything. Might still be right, though. Yeah, I think it's still the play. See if this Lily manages to live. Archmage's Charm makes sense. Most powerful card. Okay, do you have a push? Or some other removal spell? Some other removal spell. Okay, okay. Well, Lily's down to 2 now, so... And we might be able to empty our hand here? Interesting, interesting, interesting. So we can path the Wasteland Strangler, flash in a Snapcaster on end step, but we're going to have to discard the sword. Unless we draw a card and bounce the Wasteland Strangler. Or just draw a card, period. If we had a land, which we didn't, I guess still want to try to hit a land. Because now we can go... Yeah. So I might be tunneling too hard on trying to connect with Sword of Fire and Ice, which I don't think is ultimately going to do that much. This means I'm playing the land and discarding Path. But our opponent has Wasteland Strangler. But Snap with Sword is the way that I kill Lily, which is kind of what I'm concerned about right now. So I think I still take this line. I'm losing my Snapcaster to I'm losing my Snapcaster to the Wasteland Strangler, but I think I have to be okay with that. This actually lets me get value out of the Snap Path, which is kind of nice. Because I go Snap, target Path, Path, Stoneforge, go. Yeah, just get something. Play sword. Equip sword. Attack Lily. Okay. I didn't activate Fairy. The punts today. Yep, so now our opponent is going to kill the Snapcaster. We can still play Stoneforge, equip Stoneforge, and have a sort of Feast and Famine, which doesn't have protection from this because Devoid colors are weird. And we're definitely playing this. And I can't get the Batter Skull because we're not going to be able to play it, but I can get sort of Feast and Famine and play it. And then pass. No, don't pass. Uptick to Fairy. Try not to make that mistake again. Then pass. So now if our opponent has no removal, we're both going off with our swords? Damn it. Okay. Well, yes. Okay, well, our opponent is winning the top decking war so far. Our missed plus on Fairy didn't end up mattering, because Fairy would have been on 3 there. Still dead. Opponent with the Batter Skull. Yep. We need something like right now. Mana Leak is not it. Okay. Sad days. Sad days. Go ahead and counter that, I guess. I guess we just tapped our mana for no reason. Go ahead and hit that while it's, can't do anything about that. Get our last basic. What do we need here? It's like a Batter Skull. Batter Skull probably not even good enough. Taking 9, so we're dead next turn if we don't find anything. We could Archmage's Charm, take control of the Germ. That doesn't do anything. We can put some on top of our deck, but doesn't actually do anything. Alright, so again, some sort of mid-rangey something or other. Our opponent looks like they're also trying some Stoneforge Trials of their own. Gotta respect that, gotta respect that. Detention Sphere seems good. Don't like forces in a mid-range fight. Supreme Verdict seems okay. Might cut a Spell Snare. I feel like most of the important stuff didn't cost 2. Fairy doesn't seem as important either. I don't really feel like our opponent was trying to operate at instant speed. Maybe a Clique would be better, and Condemn is probably okay. We'll try that. The story of this deck seems to be that we are getting out mid-ranged. We lost to Jund, which you can kind of expect, but we also are losing to this black-white value pile. Which, if this sort of controlling deck is losing to mid-range, like, control should be well-positioned against mid-range. So that sort of indicates to me that the thesis of this deck is flawed, or that I don't know how to play this deck. Probably that I don't know how to play this deck. I'm very possibly proving that by playing Hallowed Fountain tapped. I don't know. Turn 1 discard, sure. Mana Leak down. What are we going to try to opt into? No idea. Thoughtseize. Sure. Probably taking the Snapcaster Mage as the most powerful card. And our hand's pretty picked apart at this point. Let's see if we can find some action. Archmage's Charm? Seems pretty good. Such a good value card to replace the Snapcaster. Play Field of Ruin, and we'll have to just... Actually, might want to do this now. No. I don't want our opponent to know that we don't have anything. Monastery Mentor. Okay, that could get pretty ugly pretty fast. Probably should have waited until end step. Our opponent has an extra mana. Did not mean to do that. Yep, not good, not good, not good. That's our Archmage's Charm gone. Not that I think that was going to do too much for us anyway. Go ahead and get this Archmage's Charm back. Yes. So we have a Shark Typhoon that could, in theory, ambush a Monastery Mentor. Our opponent is almost certainly going to have some sort of spell. It's an Ashiok. Okay. Yep, so we'll go ahead and cycle this now so we get our Archmage's Charm, for whatever that's worth. I have a 2/2 that could block this monk. Might need to do that. I think I would need to be hitting a path for this Monastery Mentor. I guess that's what I'm trying to draw into. Mystic Sanctuary, pretty much not doing anything in the face of this Ashiok. And I'm pretty much just dead here. Don't know why my audios are not working. Okay, so we're getting pretty manhandled by this Monastery Mentor. We can condemn the Monastery Mentor when it attacks, and like draw 2 cards with Archmage's Charm. We could actually steal a monk. That might be useful. It's gonna be hard to block effectively with that, though. Well, we'll start with... Oh, you're not attacking. Well, good on you. Yeah, sure. Alright, let's go ahead and draw 2 cards. See if that gets us anywhere. Going to pop a Field of Ruin. So we still can search, right, with the way that Ashiok is worded? Yes, yes indeed. I'll get a Plains. Make sure we have some access to white mana. Draw a couple cards, sure. So like Sword like could in theory do something, but can like kind of loop these Archmage's Charms, but yeah, I mean like I can play this. I can put Archmage's Charm back on top. I don't even know if I want it. But I can draw another Archmage's Charm. Sure, I guess. I mean, I guess it's going away now, but... We get to condemn the Monastery Mentor this time. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. I will not be able to search with this Field of Ruin because of how Monastery Mentor works. Can't counter that. I guess I'm basically looking for Supreme Verdict here. I guess that's my out. Supreme Verdict or bust. That is not a Supreme Verdict. Draw 2. That is still not a Supreme Verdict. Although this will let us live a turn by crypticking. So we will do that. What did our opponent show us? They showed us Sword of Fire and Ice. Okay. Opponent with a replacement Ashiok. Sure. Oh. Do we even have a Supreme Verdict? Yeah, it's still in the deck. Always yield, always yield. Okay. Oh, we can't even cast Cryptic with this mana. Oops. Alright, GG. Alright, well, we'll try for the 2-3. Sort of deck's certainly not my forte, but that's no excuse. It's not to say the deck is bad. I can just tell I'm not experienced enough with the deck to know really how to take these sorts of lines with control decks, but not an excuse. I'm really interested in how the mana in this deck is constructed. I've felt like I've had a really hard time getting up to my triple blue for Archmage's Charm and Cryptic Command. Which, like, when I'm looking at the mana base, it doesn't feel like it should be that hard, but I am definitely having a hard time with it. Osmanos Guni. Sure. It's a very slow hand. They do have a force to be able to guard against some stuff. I think I can keep this. Got Mana Leak and Force for early interaction. I think we might end up cycling these Shark Typhoons for just like 0 or 1. At least one of them. Playing against a lot of swamps today. Okay. I really do not... I would be really interested to hear somebody talk about this card in Modern. It feels very slow. Like, I mean, I understand a lot of the reason I think it was good in Standard. I mean, it's obviously just Standard's a lower power level, so it's better there, but with the Reclamation decks, it was really powerful. It let you make some really absurdly large sharks. And being able to cycle it through Teferi is very valuable. But it just feels so hard for this to do anything in this format. Like, I understand you want to be able to be, like, you need, like, in this particular deck, you want to be, you want things to carry a sword. But I see a lot of decks with this card, and I honestly, I don't really get it. Swamp Mutavault. This is some sort of black deck. This might be 8-rack. Mutavault is definitely indicative of 8-rack. I don't think I can afford to get planes here. Tempted to cycle a Shark Typhoon here? It's probably right. Just really want to be hitting a land. Just make these other Shark Typhoons more useful. If I don't hit a land, I'm still probably cycling another one. Okay, that's better. Sure. No, I think I can get a planes. Still don't really know what our opponent's doing. I'm still inclined to think 8-rack. Liliana of the Veil. I'm kind of tempted to let this resolve because I have Shark Typhoons and Snapcasters to pressure it, but it just feels like a bother that I don't necessarily have to go through, so we'll just hardcast Force. It's debatable whether I should go for Force or Mana Leak. Honestly, not entirely certain of that. Mana Leak has the possibility of falling off later, but Force does cost more hardcast. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe should have opted on my turn there to look for land. Go ahead and Mana Leak again. may be able to have Snap Mana Leak up. Maybe looking for land here. Not with that land. Okay. Could snap Opt. If our opponent goes Liliana Plus, I'll probably snap Opt. Although the presence of Mutavault makes that a little more difficult. I think I can discard this Spell Snare. Now they can activate the Mutavault. I guess I can path it. Yeah, I think that's fine. Target Opt. Opt. I thought this was end step. I guess it's apparently beginning of combat. Wait, what? Yes. I'm actually kind of interested in the land because of Shark Typhoon and Celestial Colonnade. So I think that's okay. Opponent with 2 cards in hand. We've got several. Field of Ruin, better answer to Mutavault than Path, so I'll play the Field of Ruin. Attack Lily. Actually, might want a Path. I feel like our opponent is not a deck to be running creatures. No, but if I can get value out of the... Yeah, no. I am silly. This is just the better play. The option of cycling Shark Typhoon for 1 on my opponent's end step. Ooh, you have a Fatal Push. Okay, okay. So I can let Lilia go to 5, play Mystery Rainforest, let Lilia go to 6, and play Shark Typhoon for 4. I think maybe I Shark Typhoon for 2 here. Makes Lily go down, but... No, I wanted to pay this white. Oh my gosh. The puns continue, the puns continue. Yeah. Okay. Okay, okay. Your swift ending, sure. Alright, so I was gonna die anyway. Fine. Now that you have played... Now that you have this... Kind of want the path, so my things can get through. Let's go to Misty. So if I play Stoneforge Sword, my opponent has 1 turn to try to find something. No, because they minus Lily. But then I can Shark Typhoon, have the Shark pick up the Sword. Okay. And I'm going to get Pro Black Sword so that it can attack through Murderous Rider? Is that right? No, I think I want Sword of Fire and Ice. that I then play. Awkwardly, yeah, so I think it actually was a mistake to not discard this Hallowed Fountain. Sure. Discard path. Okay, so it looks like my opponent's going to get to alt the Lily, unless they decide to plus it to keep it around. They're not casting this Murderous Rider. Interesting. Interesting. If they do alt the Lily, I need to float all my mana so that I can cycle Shark Typhoon after Lily happens. It's also interesting if they'll realize they can take up Blast Zone, which I think they're going to do to be able to get the sword. Yep. The real question is, are they going to plus Lily, or are they just going to cash in the alt now? They're going to plus Lily. So I think I cycle now, because I want to keep the Batterskull also. And I'm probably going to discard whatever I draw off this Shark Typhoon. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Okay. I guess we're not going to be able to play this Batterskull. Well, no, we might. We might just not even equip the sword, because it's just going to get popped by the Blast Zone. We should attack Liliana naturally and play the Batterskull. Yeah. Now we can't equip the sword. Force our opponent to blow the Blast Zone. Attack Lily. Unless they decide not to pop the Blast Zone for some reason. Interesting. I mean, I have to play the Batterskull, otherwise it gets discarded. What do I want to get back here? Don't even know if I want to get anything back here. I wish I had like an Archmage's Charm or something, but I actually don't think I want anything back. Do I want a path? What are we doing here? Oh, we're cling to dusting. Sure, fine. Sure. Didn't want it back anyway. Okay, well, I like my position. I feel like we shouldn't have gotten to this position somehow, but we are in the position, so we'll take it. Sure. I have no cards to discard. My opponent has 2. Nether Spirit. Beginning of your upkeep is the only creature in your graveyard you may return. Nether Spirit. Okay, okay, sure. You have a 2/2 blocker for forever. I guess. Do I put the Batterskull on the Shark? No? I guess I'll opt. Kind of don't hate a Field of Ruin. Kill a Mutavault, but you can do better than that. Stoneforge seems pretty good. Attack. Okay, so I would really like to attack my opponent with this, but they could save the Lily. No, I have to attack Lily here. I can attack my opponent with this. If this doesn't attack Lily, then Mutavault can block the Germ. My opponent can still pop the sword. Now that Lily's gone, I can fetch the sword and not play it, to not play into the Blast Zone. It's also a reason to not play the Murderous Rider. Because the Murderous Rider would go into the Blast Zone. Now my opponent's taking up the Blast Zone to 5 for the Batterskull. Which is fine because I can pick the Batterskull up. Now we're clinging again. That's fine. Opponent gets a random 2/2 back. Curious if there's some synergy here I'm unaware of. Apart from this being like the only creature they have. Also all my lands are swamps. It's kind of cool. Okay. Got another Stoneforge. Don't really need another Stoneforge. Go and attack with this. See if my opponent finally pops the Blast Zone. Maybe. Yep, now it's finally worth it. Still hitting for 4 with a Shark. Play a sword. Equip sword to, I guess, the Shark. No, we'll still equip it here. And we'll play a Stoneforge Mystic in case they have discard. This game should be pretty much wrapped up. I mean, our opponent could have, like, Damnation or something. In which case we would just pick up the Batterskull, play it. I guess our opponent would have jump blockers for forever. And a Murderous Rider. I assume we would still be able to win the game, but Damnation would be a reason to not play the Stoneforge Mystic. I feel like we don't worry about that until our opponent shows it to us, though. You have another Nether Spirit, okay. Okay. I mean, I attack you with these creatures, and I win. Okay, that creature's not black. Fine. Fine, fine, fine. Let's draw 2 cards. Sure. Is this like, what is this? What do you have? I don't even know what it does, but I might as well just counter it. Okay. Don't really know what this deck is. Tension Spheres for Planeswalkers is probably fine. Celestial Purge hits all their Planeswalkers, seems fine. Vendilion Clique attacks Planeswalkers. Teferi doesn't feel super relevant. They have anything I care about spell snaring? Not really. Sure. Probably take out some paths. It's probably better. I didn't have a whole lot that cost 4. But like, what am I pathing? Not too much. One Teferi is probably better than the path. Maybe 2 Teferis are better than the path. It's hard to say. They could also be bringing stuff in. I don't know. Alright. I've played quite the motley crew of decks today so far. This hand seems okay. Not spectacular, not terrible. It's fine. Opponent gonna take away probably our Snapcaster. Sure. We can fetch Island Opt, probably. Field Ruin, don't think we need that. Can put that in. I'll represent a mana leak. I don't expect my opponent to play around it, but I'll represent it. I was going to play it tapped because I have nothing to do, and I want triple blue to get my Archmage's Charms online. That's fine. Still have a charm. My opponent's deck doesn't feel like the deck where I care about the 2-life, and making them play around a mana leak. I mean, I don't know. Maybe my opponent has land Liliana, and they played around it by casting Thoughtseize. Taking the Cryptic, leaving both the Archmage's Charms. Sure. They did, in fact, have the land. So perhaps they did... perhaps they were playing around a potential mana leak. Sure. Now we have Charm up. I'll save the Flooded Strand to fetch Sanctuary. Sorry, my roommates are texting. Okay. I might draw 2 here. I put a Shark Typhoon into play. I think I can wait as long as I still have lands to be making my Shark Typhoons better. I think I don't need to do that just yet. I think I'll keep holding up a counterspell. Liliana of the Veil. I think we're going to want to counter that. There is some thought to letting it resolve because I can make a shark. They're going to plus. I'm going to discard a land. I'm going to make a shark for 2, and it's going to be a 2, but then it turns on the removal, so it's... I think this is still fine. Ooh, Teferi. Like me a Teferi. Because of Mutavault, can I have to plus this? But this turn I'm going to be able to grab a Sanctuary and get an... do I want a Charm or a Cryptic command? Don't know what I want. Smallpox. Loses 1 life, discards a card, sacks a creature, sacks a land. Okay, well in that case I need to do this so that this happens while I still have islands. Get Mystic Sanctuary. So I'll go on top. Yes. And that's fine. I will discard this land. And I will sack an island. Opponent is not attacking the Teferi. Interesting. Just go up here and not do anything. I guess they want to draw with castle. That makes sense. Not sure how big I want to make this Shark Typhoon. Big enough to block a Mutavault would be nice. Thoughtseize. How do I respond to that? I could respond by making a 2/2 Shark, I could respond by drawing 2 cards, or I could respond by countering it. Drawing 2 cards is like kind of even if I draw a land, and worse if I draw 2 lands. I could also just let it resolve. I think I want to draw 2 cards. Like, it's definitely lame if I draw, like... Yeah, like, this is pretty lame. Now I just lose a Shark Typhoon. And the stroke doesn't do much. Like, there's Liliana there, it counters, I think, but... By and large, it's not doing much. This Field of Ruin is still is going to be able to check the Mutavault, so I can at least, like, draw cards occasionally. My opponent has a castle. That seems like a better way to accomplish that. Would like to draw another fetch land so I can get my Archmage's Charm back. That would be pretty nice. Not really going to be able to field these locked castles. It's kind of like a really good card they printed. I'll make the Mutavault tap before I do this. Nether Spirit. That is a 2/2. That is not going to go away anytime soon. Alright, let's try this again. Let's get Mystic Sanctuary. Let's target Cryptic Command. I can try to get this loop going. Yes. And then do I want to draw the Cryptic? I think I do want to draw the Cryptic. Down though, that's going to be really annoying. Yeah, you got it. Do you have another one? Okay, that's actually really annoying. Like, I want to counter them both. That's difficult, though. Okay, that's something. Might be able to race with that. Okay. So if I tap bounce, I can just keep your creatures tapped down for, like, forever, right? That's how this works? Okay, you're killing my Teferi, that's fine. You can deal with that. Like, I'm gonna win this race with Celestial Colonnade if that's how this is gonna go. Of course, there's, like, any of 1,000 different things you could have, but I think this is where we're at right now. Could have a Fatal Push. I guess you only have one card. I think you just drew it pretty recently. I could have waited a turn and have a land drop, and then I could have Cryptic back up for this, I guess. Yeah. No, I guess it's going through. Opponent's probably just trying to figure out what their outs are against this. You waiting till end step to push? You're just gonna... Okay, you're gaining life. Okay. That is a valid line. You're also drawing cards. Okay. Sure, I'm gonna take 4. Guess there... Do I have other creatures? I do not have other creatures in my graveyard. Oh, good grief. Okay, okay. Okay, so we're gonna get in there. Gonna attack. So we can Cryptic, bounce Mystic Sanctuary, tap your creatures. And do that every turn? No, do that every other turn? Cryptic, tap all creatures your opponent... Return target permanent to its owner's hand. Tap all creatures your opponents control. Okay. I guess our opponent can still get into the Mutavault. That's why we wanted to leave the stroke up. Because that doesn't actually really affect anything. Also, I could have forced it. Oops. As long as there's no creatures in the graveyard. Cling doesn't gain life? So now we get back our Cryptic. Which our opponent can cling, so they're gonna do that. Sure. Sure. So never you mind. But I think we still have the win here. Thank you. Like, Mutavault, like, this is an attack for 8. Well, unless our opponent gets in for 1 more somehow. So they can draw a Fatal Push. Or a Field of Ruin. I know they have Field of Ruins. We are a lot of cards deep and we've not found a Stoneforge this game. Sure. 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 Okay, that's really cute. That is very cute. I like your gumption. I like your gumption. And no, you may not cling your Nether Spirit. Because we are going to Force of Negation it. I like the line, though. That was really cool. Okay. Well, we went 2 and 3. We played against some very unconventional decks. I'll be honest, I really don't understand this deck. It feels like blue-white control with Stoneforge as your win condition. And I feel like control decks are just infinitely better when you just have planeswalkers or celestial colonies as your win condition, because you're just giving your opponent a whole a whole access to interact with your deck that they don't normally have. You're just turning on all your opponent's abrupt decays and their fatal pushes and their path to exiles and any of their artifact removal. Like I can see why, like, you know, maybe being able to put a turn 3 Batterskull Skull into play against burn is a good thing. And maybe that's why this deck is a thing, because one of control's bad matchups, you know, just by pure archetypes, should be aggressive decks or burn decks. So maybe that's the logic behind it. But I was not impressed with this showing. I mean, we lost several matches to just other mid-range decks, and I feel like those are the decks that blue-white control should be preying upon, the decks that they should have good matchups against. And I really felt like the sort of equipment and trying to attack was just a liability. So I was not particularly impressed with this iteration of a Stoneforge Mystic deck. It's very possible that I just don't really know how to play the deck, and that I'm, you know, maybe I'm not answering threats correctly. Maybe I'm supposed to be maneuvering the game to a place where I'm supposed to be able to play a Stoneforge Mystic and it's just unbeatable, because I've exhausted all the threats or the answers from my opponent's hand. But in practice, that didn't work out. Maybe I just don't know how to do that very well, but I couldn't really get it to work out. But I'm glad I played this deck. As with all the Stoneforge Trial decks, I'm just trying to understand how Stoneforge Mystic works, what decks utilize it well, what decks don't utilize it so well. I still think I'm learning a lot about how to build Stoneforge decks, and so I'm definitely glad I played this. But this, I think, is going to go on the back burner for me, and probably not going to be trying to build decks along this sort of axis in the future. But if you've been having success with it, don't let me stop you. This deck has certainly put up results, and I can't argue with that. But this has been Blue-White Sharkblade. Hope you'll check me out on Twitch. My Twitch channel is twitch.tv/rakkamar. I also have a YouTube channel, which, if you're not watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on Twitch, it's linked below on my Twitch channel. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you'll check out all my other content. Thanks for watching.